Hey, y'all, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. Remember to follow all of our platforms. You can find them by going to Linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today's show is for Tuesday, October 31st. I'm Jay, and today Joe and I will be going over theology and politics in a time when the LGBT propaganda is being thrown so freely in our faces and our schools. Why should religion be excluded from our politics? Well, here we go again. Another polarizing subject. What do you think, Joe?
Man, I really, it's going to be a very interesting conversation. I really think so. And as always, guys, this is between me and Jay. We're going to have this conversation. Some people might be offended, some might, but we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. The devil's in the details.
There you go.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Let's go.
Happy Halloween.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Here we go. Theology and politics. So this is a perfect day to do this on, too.
I know.
We're
Halloween,
doing this
right?
on
what is that? What is it?
All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So we got, we called it theology for the title and everything. This is really about, I guess you would say, religion, right?
Yeah.
And politics. So, yeah, again, perfect day to really put this out. But what do you think? There's this whole thing about this separation of church and state, right? That's stuff that gets thrown around a lot.
Absolutely.
And I think, here's one of the things I kind of want to help people understand is that wasn't meant to mean that religion was supposed to be out of, like, we're not supposed to have a religion in the country. To the contrary, the people that were coming over here and were trying to run away from countries that were, making them where they could only believe in their religion. And we have that to this day. And especially in a lot of the Muslim countries and such, you can't, you're not supposed to believe in anything else but just their one religion.
That's correct.
And the separation was for this. It was not to pull church out of the schools. It was to keep, and government, it was to keep government out of religion. For so many centuries, governments have used religion as a tool, right?
Yeah.
To rule its people. If you go back far enough, you had the kings and queens and such setting up in the high castle, and they had their tax collectors that would go down to the poor people, right, and the farms and stuff, and they would take half their livestock and their crop yield, whatever that was. Sometimes they would do the whole thing where they're, they would have to have premarital stuff with
all in the name of religion.
Yeah. Well, this is before the whole. So the king would tax these people, and he would have to force them to do all this stuff. Now, at one point or another, the kings looked over and they saw these like monks and stuff, these preachers that didn't have anything to their name, and the people that they were having to like basically strangle their throats to get taxes from were giving money freely to the church. So the kings got smart and they said, hey, we're going to put somebody in power, and again, don't shoot us. We're just using very vague things, but like somebody that's a pope or a cardinal or whatever. Hey, you get to move into the castle. We're going to give you pretty outfits and everything, and we'll give you a bunch of money, but you got to get money from those people for us and get them to be okay with being taxed and everything. And the church was leveraged by the government and by the powers that be for many years, and they still are to this day. And like I say, in the Middle East, you have countries that are very, very, very strict,
right?
And it's all based around religion. So, yeah. So that's a little slight history lesson, I guess you would say.
Yeah, to say the least, right? But nowadays, though, religion is in the back burner of a lot of people. So I think one thing that we need to make important that not all conservatives are religious, and not
Right.
all religious people are conservatives.
That's
Right.
correct. Yep.
So, but I think where it comes is that relationship, like you discussed earlier, between religion and political ideologies. The separation wasn't, like you said, wasn't intended to eradicate religion,
No,
right?
not at all.
It was intended to not create policies to favor certain religions.
Correct.
Um, and it's all been skewed because now, like, religion is this thing that we shouldn't talk about, right? It's kind of, I hate to say it this way, but it's the truth. Religion today is kind of how being gay was back then. You know, like, you just didn't talk about it.
Right.
It was in the back corner somewhere. We don't discuss it. We don't want to bring it up because it's a bad thing. And that's what religion is today. And a lot of people, when we talk about politics and the separation of state and religion, they go back to that mentality of like, oh yeah, you can't have religion at all, eradicate it from everything. You can't have it in public places or anything that's governed by the United States, which is a lie, right? Because believe it or not, religion, it has the people who founded our freedom here, the United States, they were religious.
Yeah.
They
It
were,
was woven into the fabric of our Constitution.
right,
100%.
right, and for a long time they coexisted, right? They kind of,
One nation under God.
yeah, and I think it was valuable because there was so many things that directed politicians to do the right thing, right? Nowadays, everyone's just going after everybody. It's horrible. There's no respect. There's nothing. And if you look at religion as a whole, and I'm not just talking about Christians or Catholics or Jewish religion or anything, or Islam or anything like that, religions, they have a very important value in them, right? Some kind of fundamental value
Right.
that drives people. Of course, I'm not talking about those very radical ones, right? But
Yeah.
but again, it was a foundation to our nation. It really
Right.
was. Our founding fathers, although in the Constitution doesn't mention God at all, right?
Right.
But it does appear in our Declaration of Independence. So
Absolutely does. Yeah.
and it's in our U.S. currency, right? We have it in our currency. The Pledge of Allegiance, it's under the Pledge of Allegiance. And one of the things that we forget is that because these things are in the fabric of the United States, of our nation, it doesn't mean that you are a religious person, right? It just means that at one point we all had this view that we respected each other, that we believed in a higher power, right? And that based on that belief, we created policy that helped our nation, right? Not an individual, not a certain race, not a certain religious party or political party, the nation as a whole.
Right.
But people have now feel insulted, I guess, by having anything like, and that's the thing that really amazes me the most is the fact that people are like, you can't say the Pledge of Allegiance because that has God. I don't believe in God, blah, blah. Well, I don't believe in a lot of things that the LGBT community have, but yet they have LGBT flags all over the classrooms. They're preaching their ideology to
Right.
people who are like, for example, me. If my kids were still in like school grade, I would pull them out of school if they had that stuff in there. I was already one of those parents where they had the security standing by when I would come and talk to them because I was very, very animated, when it came to my children. But if you're going to do that, I mean, come on, that's something that you don't just do that to someone's kid, like the Pledge of Allegiance. We're not pledging allegiance to God per se. We're pledging allegiance to our nation, right? Under a blanket, under one higher power, right? And because we're all governed by somebody, right? Even this great nation of ours is governed by somebody, right? And so it's important that people understand, hey, you know what? You can't just say, hey, I don't want the Pledge of Allegiance because it has the word God in there, whatever the case is. So we're going to change the wording. No, that's not how it works. It's like the Declaration of Independence has God in it. So do we have to eradicate that and change the wording? If we change the wording on the Declaration of Independence, does it become null and void? You know, do we have to go back to Europe countries
Yeah.
and worship a king? I mean,
Right.
that's what I don't understand, you know, and people are like offended by that, but yeah, we should be okay with, you know, having these books in schools that show pornographic material to
Yeah.
children, you know, and to me, that's more offensive than being an atheist and someone say something about God, you
Right.
know, okay.
I worked in a place that was a heavy Jewish community. And it was a company that we sold. Some of the stuff we had was some Jewish paraphernalia stuff, or excuse me, Hanukkah stuff. And
That is Jewish paraphernalia.
and people would, I'd help them out or what have you. I mean, this is a long time ago, but and they would say, "Oh, thank you, happy Hanukkah." Well, I don't celebrate Hanukkah. I'm not Jewish, but I would say thank you, and I never got offended by that because they weren't meaning offense by it. Right? That was actually a nice thing for them to say something like that, and it's funny because if you say, like, now it's happy holidays, right? You're not supposed to say Merry Christmas to anybody.
That's
and
dumb.
and the thing that's silly is there's two parts of it. So Christmas is a shortened version of Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christ Mass. So Christmas, and that's what Christians and Catholics and people of the all the Christian faiths, I guess you would say, whether you're Lutheran or Protestant or whatever it is,
Nazareth,
yeah, anything like that. Kind of going back to the beginning of our country, we all of our values are based on a Judeo-Christian set of values, right? The 10 Commandments have things like thou shalt not steal, kill, covet, all those kind of things. Those
commit adultery.
Yeah, these are all things that you don't have to explain that to somebody. Like, do you have to tell somebody, hey, you shouldn't kill somebody or you shouldn't steal? And that's not just a religious value. That's a value for mankind.
Yeah.
We all, so if you're sitting there and you're like, no, I hate this. I'm not religious. I don't believe in your fictitious, spirit in the sky or whatever, your sky god or whatever they get. So
spirit in the sky.
Spirit in the sky. So, I would ask you, so are you okay with people being murdered? Well, of course not. Of course not. Well, why would you say that? Well, because there's a set of morals that are, based within all of us. Now, some people go outside those, right? You look at all the, like, lately it's been really popular, all these different movies and things, like they had that Jeffrey Dahmer series and stuff like that. And just showing how, how people can get, just mentally nuts and go down, a really dark path.
Like multiple genders.
But even Jeffrey Dahmer, he knew he was doing wrong, but he decided to. So this becomes that whole thing is like, we do believe in choices. And when this country was founded, that was a part of the whole idea that our founding fathers had. Listen, we're going to base this country off. So a lot of our founding documents had some to do with stuff that came from England because that's all they knew, right? That's all they knew was how things were ran over there. But they knew that they wanted freedom of religion. They knew that they needed a Second Amendment, right, to for citizens to be able to arm themselves in case, like what's happened now, where you have this government that slowly chips away at your rights, whether it's religious freedoms, whether it's the right to bear arms and all these kind of things. And, we just recently had that big shooting in, what was it, Maine?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's, it's horrific,
Yeah.
And
prayers to them.
Yeah, for us guys that are, 2A guys, we don't want to see anything like that. I saw all kinds of different comments, people talking about, well, if the citizens were armed, they could have stopped the guy. And, it's really difficult to say. I mean, that stuff happens in a moment, and you never know how you would react. And even if you did have some kind of weapon on you, would you react? I mean, we both have our concealed carry permits, and there's 10 basic rules in that whole thing. And what's the very first one? Like if you're in a threatening situation, what's the first thing they tell you in the rule of having a concealed weapon? It's run. It's get out of there.
Yeah.
It's like remove yourself from the situation if possible. Like it is not to pull, your firearm out and use it against somebody. It is to leave the situation. So it really depends on what's going on. And, our government has, has a lot of responsibility out there. The fact that one of the first things they said when that happened, that, your Uncle Biden was,
wow, bro,
was notified.
Wow.
That he was notified. It's like, why would they notify him of that? Shootings happen all the time. Like, does the Chicago, mayor, do they notify him of every shooting every weekend that happens there? I just don't get it.
No.
No, of course they don't. And it's because this stuff's politicized, and so is religion. Religion's used so much. And as time goes on, I mean, the newest generation's kids are, so you can see this as religion dies out in our schools and our government and in our daily lives, things get worse, right? And people don't care about one another anymore. It used to be where, if you went back far enough, what was the saying? It takes a village to raise a child.
Mm-hmm.
And children were raised by obviously their family, but the people around the village in the area, and then like the church. So and schools were inside the churches, right? Usually because they had a building already, and kids learned how to read and write and math and all the basic stuff. They learned their moral compass from their pastor or whatever it was in the church. Their parents would, kind of instill all of that stuff at home. And then all the people in the community were going to church, making sure that they were reading properly and, adding and doing all the kind of stuff they needed to do. So they were reinforcing that too. What do kids have now for reinforcement? Well, there's no, and suicide rates are higher than they've ever been, especially in the LGBT, communities. And we talked about this on an earlier show. White guys are supposedly Xing themselves out more than ever, because the thing is because society is turned on everybody. It's
turned on you oppressors.
The oppressors. Yeah. Well, there's a problem is that they see people of different colors, different races getting together and going, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong with all this stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's been an increase in violence. Right? It's just on white males, man. It really has been. You see a lot of those videos now where they get attacked and stuff like that, which is totally unfortunate, right? Because as a society, we shouldn't. Here's the thing, and I know we're off subject a little bit, but the biggest thing about that is that the left, the Biden's administration keep pushing that race agenda, agenda. It's so annoying. But
it's a divider for them.
It is. But going back to our discussion, though, the whole thing about this is, should it be divided? If the LGBT community is in there in force pushing their agenda, shouldn't we kind of accept religion back to what it used to be? Like, and I'm not saying everybody needs to follow my religion, your religion, or anyone's specific religion, but have a foundation, something that helps you. I mean, I want to read something to you. It's out of the Bible, guys, so excuse me. It says, this is from Isaiah 33:22. It says, for the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, and the Lord is our king. He will save us. So when they did this whole government of the U.S., you know what they just did to that? How that translated into our Constitution?
Let's hear it, Joe.
That's our three branches of government. That is our judicial, our legislative, and our executive.
That's right.
and so a lot of people says, like, get out of here. That is exactly where that came from. I'll give you some more examples. You guys can look it up because, you know what I mean? I don't want to look at all these things up for you. But like, for example.
Don't be lazy. Look it up.
Look it up. So, like for example, the president has to be a U.S. born citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look it up in Deuteronomy 17:15, that's where it came from, right? Another one is the requirements in Article 3, Section 3, to the establish guilt in cases of treason by at least 2 witnesses. That's also in Deuteronomy 17:6.
Isn't it funny how that coincides with how our country was founded?
Well, they were smart about it because
They were.
they're looking at this book that's ancient. It's a historical book, right? The Bible, and they're looking at it and they're seeing like, all right, that makes sense. How can we work that into government to make it work for us?
Right.
And here's the thing, Jay, that kind of like, if this didn't work somehow, if it didn't make sense somehow, how do we become such a powerful nation?
Right.
How do we become so independent? How do we become so rich, right? In not just financial, but I'm talking economical with like our resources, right? We knew how to manage it, right? So a lot of people, and this is a funny thing, is that I look at these things like religion. I'm not a big religious person. Trust me, I'm far from it, but I do believe in a higher power. I believe in God, right? But even like scientists, right? They're total deniers, right? They're
God deniers.
They're kind of like Hillary Clinton and denying that Trump won, right? Although they say we're the ones, the big deniers, right?
Yeah.
But they deny.
That's good for the goose,
right?
That's good for the goose.
They deny God like all the time, right? That they say that we came from this like single cell thing from Mars. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
But you know what's funny?
We were on an asteroid at one time.
Yeah, you were on an asteroid.
Yeah.
But
I know a lot of people that came from Uranus. So
yeah,
I'm just saying.
I know a few myself. Anyway, there was, going back on that, it's so fun. It's so funny. Scientists deny it, but yet we measure time based on religion.
Yeah.
And do you think that they just pulled out 2023 out of the thin air? Like, we're going to start on year 1 today.
Right.
They used religion as
our entire calendar and the years. And this is every country of the world. So, now, the Chinese have really old calendars and they have a little bit of different deal, but they use the same calendar as the Europeans, as the Middle Easterns, Asians, everybody. This is 2023. And what's significant about it? Well, it's 2023 years since Jesus was here.
Yeah.
So why would a figure in history that was not real have so much influence on the entire world,
so much significance?
And I don't know where you were leaving off there, but this is something to kind of again, look this up, guys. Don't just believe us. We like to research a lot of stuff and try to make you think.
No, just believe us.
Just believe us. Yeah, just believe us. We're like CNN. Everything we say is true.
Damn.
So there's multiple religions of the world that speak about Jesus in their texts, right? The Muslims believe that he was a prophet, right? They don't believe he was the son of God or anything, but they believed he was a prophet. So every single religion has major players that mention Jesus in their text, in their books, whatever they may have been. In the Bible, Jesus doesn't mention any of them and says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. And he's the only one that says that about himself. So the thing is, he's either truly the one or he was just conceited and crazy, right? And
that's me.
And would that many people and through the centuries follow a doctrine like that? Yeah. So it's something you really have to ask yourself. And I mean, you can go down a million rabbit holes with how the universe was created and that we're just a bunch of stardust and all this kind of stuff. Kind of hard to believe. But yeah.
So let me ask you this, Jay. And to you out
away.
Would politics benefit more so well, especially now, with some kind of background and not background, but some type of fundamental based on religion.
Yes.
So I think so too. I think if we have
Just the moral ethics of things. Alone.
here's the thing. I think the moral compass that's
Yeah.
associated with religion, I think, is very important, right, for a society. I mean, it worked for us years and years ago, right, when we first established this great nation. It worked for us. We clearly, as we pull away further and further from it, we're getting more into chaos, you
Right.
know, and I'm not just saying out in the world, right, because we've always had chaos, right, but now the chaos has kind of fallen into our political system. Now, if you look at politicians today, both sides, I'm not even going to pick on the liberals because I could spend all day on liberals, but just both sides. I mean, they've lost their way. And
Absolutely.
I'm not just saying religiously, they've lost a way in mankind, like just caring about people. And it's sad to see, right? Because you see people like AOC who just talks to talk. You know, she loves to talk because it's a topic, and she jumps on that bandwagon, but has like zero information,
Right.
zero knowledge on how that really impacts another society, for example, right? And let me give you just a small example. And I know that our nation's divided when it comes to this one, but I don't care because I see what I see. I'm not gonna be, I'm not gonna take the turd bird side. I'm just gonna be,
Right.
I want to be who I am. So everybody's like on this whole, oh my God, look at poor Israel and all these things just going, look at, they're getting attacked by literally one of those little, those little Band-Aids you get, the little ones, a little strip like that is getting attacking big old Israel.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The land right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little strip,
Yeah.
little strip about this big, guys.
They
Little
got
strip.
oceanfront property too. So
Yeah. And so everyone's feeling bad. And I get it. Hamas is a terrorist organization.
100%.
They should be eliminated. Right. However, what does that have to do with the civilians, man? Like, you're going to tell me right now that Israel doesn't have these powerful radars or sensors that could read heat signatures to know exactly where a rocket was launched from to counteract that, and to just destroy that area? Do they really have to destroy all these buildings? Isn't Israel big enough that they could just kind of walk in there and just bitch slap the Hamas?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of losing all those civilians. Now I get it. There's a lot of these Palestinian protests going on in our own land, right? And they are talking some crazy stuff, right? They're like, kill Americans, kill the Jews, and all. That's all nonsense, right? That's what I mean. That we've kind of, our own country has disconnected from like that moral compass. We should be like these I forget her name, but she's from Michigan, of course, and she's like, she has these flags in a state building, in a federal building. She has the Palestinian flag, right?
Oh, you're talking about Rashida Tlaib?
Yeah, from Michigan. Yeah. And so look, I get it.
Another turd bird.
If you support, you support, your people, and that's great.
Well, I believe she is from that region originally. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, let me correct you in this. She might be from that region. She's a representative of the United States.
That's correct.
There should be 100%. No damn flag in that federal building but the U.S. flag.
Right.
If you want to support somebody, support the people of the United States, right. Not a foreign country that has nothing to do with you. Those people, they didn't vote for you. Those people did not vote for you. Now, those people might have voted for you because there's a lot in Michigan. Right? They voted for you for that area, which is great.
Right.
But you guys are in America. Right. So do your job. You know? So that's the thing that upsets me. That
I can tell.
We shouldn't be divided, bro.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be divided. We should say, hey guys, you know what? Those universities, those liberal universities, allowing people to protest and say these hurtful things and stuff like that. I don't say hurtful because kind of where we're living in, nothing really hurts me. You know what I mean? Words don't bother me
Sticks and stones, man.
Yeah, I've been
Sticks
called
and
so many
stones.
things in my lifetime, and not nice. But
Not nice.
those like, hey, you guys want to start creating this kind of chaos in a university? We're pulling your scholarship. You're out. We don't need to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
Why are we allowing this to happen in our school systems? It's bad enough that they're racking up these bills and they ain't getting any smarter. I'm gonna tell you that right now, guys. You in college, university, you ain't getting any smaller or smarter. But all these things is just showing that moral compass, man, is like it's going into the Bermuda Triangle, bro. It's just spinning. Yeah. You know what I mean? 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Going nowhere. Pointing to absolutely nothing. And we lost that. And I think that if we could somehow, at least the moral compass aspect of it in religion, get it back into our society, man, I think that'd make a big impact, man. But we're so bitter. 100%. We're so bitter. Like the politicians are bitter. The people are bitter. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore, bro. I feel like I got to move.
Yeah. One of the things that's really happened is that everything has become one-sided, and the one-sided, and this is where I will jump back to the whole political realm thing, is everything that's on the left is good and everything on the right is bad. So if you're religious or if you're straight or if you're, conservative, if you believe in freedom, if you're, so Joe was talking about Rashida Tlaib having the her flag out in front of her office. So, okay. So there's probably people that say, well, that's her right. And this and this and that. Okay. So, I'm a mutt. I've got all kinds of background, but I have German background.
Hey,
so,
how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? So, how about I'm in Congress and I put a bunch of German flags up, because I support my background. Well, I wasn't born in Germany whatsoever. I don't know a single relative that's from there. It's just part of my whole DNA package, and stuff you can't help, but I'm here. And if there's something that has been really bad with all this and stuff that's happened all over the world through the years is people cannot get past the past, right? Stuff horribly has happened to every country, has happened to every people. The Jewish people were pretty badly persecuted throughout the world and for years. But I'll tell you who was even more persecuted was the Christians, and everybody's still doing it, right? When Jesus walked this earth, and we've pretty much established, right, that he was a real person. If you don't believe he was the son of God, or you think he was a prophet, or you just believe he was some dude that lived back 2023 years ago that we set our entire calendar around. At that time, the Romans hated him. And guess who helped the Romans hate him? Well, the Jews did. And they still don't like him. And then the Muslims came along, and they didn't like the Jews, and they really didn't like the Christians, because they came around 600 years after Jesus. So, and it's still happening today. And in the freest country in the world, like Joe said earlier, probably the best country, this is a giant experiment that worked.
Mm-hmm.
That worked. And so many firsts have come out of this country. And a lot of garbage came out of this country. Slavery was a horrible thing. People bring that up all the time.
It didn't come out of this country.
No, and it didn't come out of this country. I mean, we weren't the first and we weren't the last, because there are still slaves in the world, and people are still bringing up slavery now in the United States when it still exists throughout the world today.
Yeah.
So, the West was the first place to eradicate slavery. Again, look it up. This was something that was a struggle for many years, and it was a horrific thing. The people of those times, what did they have to base their future on, right? It was the belief in God, and it was this roadmap, just like Joe was saying. There's different scriptures and things that will guide you to make proper decisions. And so people that are non-Christian think, oh man, I couldn't be like those darn goody two-shoes, they think they're better than everybody. No, we don't. In fact, most Christians believe we're the biggest sinners, because we know that we're all evil and we have those intents in our mind, and that we need to straighten up. And the thing is that, when you get on that path, it helps you tremendously. And like Joe asked the question, do you think it would help our government? Absolutely.
Yep.
If everybody in our government had a good Christian moral background and wasn't like the, evil people that are in there right now, I mean, things would be a lot different, and
yeah, they wouldn't be selfish. They would be doing things for the betterment
For the
of
people.
a nation and the people, not themselves,
Yeah. I saw the new Speaker of the House, got put in, and the first thing he said, he was going to send money to Israel to help fight the war over there. Joe and I are on the same page on that. I'm behind Israel. However, it's just like the whole Ukraine and Russia thing. These are giant border disputes. It sucks that innocent people are involved.
That's the worst part. I think.
That's the worst part. Yeah, I mean,
innocent people.
It's like, listen, in World War II, Pearl Harbor was attacked, and it was basically military stuff. Now, there was a lot of innocent people that got hurt and everything, but it was a lot of military people. And we retaliated. Why did we retaliate? Because, the United States before that, it said the public was like, we don't want to be in Europe's war. Keep us out of it. We don't want any of this nonsense. The second we were bombed, guess what happened?
They drew first blood.
Go attack. We want them dead. And so we unleashed the worst weapon that's ever been used in any war anywhere on civilians. Now, they did pamphlet those two cities and told them, hey, get out of there, just like Israel has done to the Gaza Strip. They put pamphlets and everything, but a lot of those people, either they don't want to go or they have nowhere to go.
But I think that's a big difference, though. We were in World War.
Right.
So I get it. That was a lot of people we also use atomic weapons. So there was a lot of people that were going to get eradicated, But this is this is like that schoolyard bully against that tiny little kid. You know what I mean? I don't think that Israel should go in there, just handle the business, go get Hamas. I mean, they got those they're like the Navy SEALs
the Mossad.
Yeah, those guys, they can go in there, find them, and pull them out, and they're done with them, right? Do a public whooping, and we're good. We're done. But I just don't feel that all these civilians need to perish. Whether people are going to be who they are. They could be hateful towards our nation, but they're not affecting our nation. That's the thing. They're not here. Well, some are. Thank you, Joe Biden, and that open border. But that doesn't impact us. You know what I mean? That's, like you said, it's a border dispute. It's, again, someone's always getting oppressed, right? Someone's always feeling oppressed and whatnot. Whether the Jews were there first or the Palestinians were there first, I don't know. If we could go back in biblical times, then clearly the Jews were there first, right? But we that's not our concern. Our concern is, as the world police, is to ensure that the civilians are okay.
All right.
Not favor one or the other.
First, our own civilians.
Right. But, dude, and that's the other thing. That's a whole other story. You have everyone talks crap about Mexico. But, man, that president sent those planes down, military planes, to go pick its citizens up right away.
Yep.
Yeah, what did Sleepy Joe do?
He let people die in Afghanistan.
That turd bird. But anyway, I think the important thing to remember here, folks, and it's not. I mean, we're a kick-ass nation, the United States, right? But we could be so much better. We could be much better than what we are now. Our nation's so divided. And whether you want to say it's because the LGBT community, the transgenders, the bigots, or whatever it is, you could make any excuses to why it's the way it is. But at the end of the day, what have we lost? What have we turned away from? We lost our moral compass. I keep saying that because morality is huge, right? And when you look at some of the things that's happening in our great nation, it has to do with that. Right?
Absolutely. Every one of the people because we do a lot of research, okay? My YouTube, Wikipedia research stuff that I have to do.
CNN is very informative, guys. CNN has some real good information.
So some of the videos that I come across on YouTube, and surprise, surprise, these like from these young girls that are just like out of control, with what they do in their life, and they're I can't even go into it, but and people that are just doing terrible things, and every single one of them, there's a big common denominator. All of them are God deniers. All of them, they don't believe in, and it's like, man, I know everybody hates Christians, and I'm not now. So I'm going to back up for half a second with that, because people will say, "Whoa, Christians are bad people." Absolutely, there's some people that will fly under the Christian banner that are terrible people, but that doesn't. So, what was it? Last episode, a couple episodes ago, we were talking about conservatives versus and Republicans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between the two. A conservative isn't necessarily, or a Republican isn't necessarily a conservative. You can be a Trump supporter, you can be a Republican and not be a conservative. Those people that everybody, I have my own opinions about January 6th, but all those people that may have done anything damaging in there, those are not conservatives. They might have been Republicans, they might have been Trump supporters, but they're not conservatives. So this goes to the same thing with Christianity. People that are true Christians, it's a whole different ball game for you in your belief system and everything. So yeah,
but here's the thing that and guys, we're not forcing religion down your throat. That's the last thing you want to do. You guys believe who you want to believe. You want to believe in little demigods, believe in demigods. You want to believe in Ozzy, believe in Ozzy. It's all on you.
The Geico lizard.
The Geico lizard, he knows stuff, It's, that's fine. You want to be on, the Aztec warriors and they believed in every god for everything, the serpent gods and all kinds. That's fine. You guys, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that we've lost basic fundamentals in this nation, some huge ones, and yeah, we keep bringing Christianity because Christianity as a whole is one of the biggest religions in the world is Christianity. But you could also follow Christian fundamentals and not be religious,
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
whole point of this is that so everyone's okay with people, feeding you all this other progressive left agenda stuff. No one bats an eye, right? But the moment you mention God, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, that's too. You went too far, buddy.
You are,
you're out of here.
By mentioning God, you're denying the gummy bear and stuff like
God.
that. Whatever the case is. But
I identify as a Fruit Loop.
Yeah. So we as conservatives, we have our belief, right? But we don't shove it down people's throats. We're like, you got to believe in God or you're going to go to hell or blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed, we are currently living in hell, with this government. But we don't do that. Just, but the left, the left is in your face with everything. And the media is so quick to pick it up and broadcast it. And the problem with that is it makes everybody else look like bigots and racists and things like that, right?
Right.
And like you were saying earlier, we're not those extremists. And there is extremists in religion. There is. Like, I don't believe in those evangelists, that they're preaching, and then they leave in their Mercedes and get on their private jets and take. They're robbing.
Remember Benny Hinn back in the day?
Oh man, they're Tammy Faye.
Oh, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Most of the people are probably too young for those.
But I don't believe in those people. They're a bunch of thieves. They're criminals, right?
All the tithing went to her makeup collection.
Oh God! But but just like there's extreme left and extreme right, we have extreme religions, right? Now we've seen that in the Middle East. We have some extreme religion that they think that by killing as many Westerners, they get to go
infidels.
They get to go and have like all these virgins, like 13 virgins or something. Something like that. But here's the thing: joke's on you. There's no more virgins. So they gone.
Have you seen the world today? There's no more virgins.
They gone. But like for example, KKK, they follow religion, right?
Right.
They're the hate group. It was a hate group, right? So there are some crazy people out there,
and they're not true Christians because
no.
I mean KKK charter or whatever, their book and their belief totally does not go along with
No.
biblical belief at all.
But
Yeah.
everybody's going to translate and impact it the way they want it to impact their lives and going to impact everybody else. But
Right.
the whole purpose of this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, is for you to kind of take a moment, look at the Declaration of Independence, look at the Constitution, look at all the clues, some of the things that we mentioned today, and see how intertwined religion was in the very fabric that made this nation,
Right.
and how great it operated, right? And
That's
how
right.
how quickly we progressed and we became superior than that country we came from,
Right.
right? And I say we because we're all Americans and we're all enjoying the benefits of America, right? Of the United States. So we the people. And that's going to give you just a little hint as to, man, maybe we do need to go back to basics, right? Maybe go back a little bit to some kind of moral compass that's going to point us the right direction instead of the South. You know what I mean? You know what I mean by I say South, sir, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Especially today, right? Whoa.
Oh, yeah, especially today.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with us today. I'm Jay, and that is Joe, and this has been Joe and Jay Outspoken. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment, and share. If there's a topic you would like to see us cover in the future, let us know at joeandjayproductions.com/ideas. If you would like to help the cause, it could be as simple as liking, subscribing, and commenting, and you can also grab merch from the Outspoken store or become one of our Patreon members. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Take care of one another.
And remember, do better, be better.
And as always,
God bless America.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.